What if I told you that somewhere in America, a woman, depressed and desperate, logged onto the dark web and hired a hitman, but not to kill a cheating spouse, not to eliminate a rival, not even to cash in on an insurance policy. She hired a hitman to kill herself. This bizarre and chilling case would unravel into one of the most disturbing true crime stories of the decade. It's a tale of desperation, digital deception, and the haunting question: what happens when someone is willing to die, but refuses to do it themselves? Tonight, we're diving into the gripping, tragic, and almost unbelievable case of Wendy Wein, the Michigan woman who turned to murder-for-hire websites in hopes of ending her own life. Stay with me, because by the end of this story, you'll be asking yourself, was this woman a criminal, a victim, or both? Wendy Lynn Wein was a 51-year-old woman living in South Rockwood, Michigan. On the surface, she looked like anyone else. She was divorced, struggling with loneliness, and working through some personal issues. Friends describe her as soft-spoken, kind, and sometimes shy. But underneath that calm surface, Wendy was battling depression. She had gone through relationship struggles, financial troubles, and a deep sense of hopelessness. To those around her, she wasn't violent. She didn't have a criminal record. She wasn't the type of person anyone would imagine involved in a murder-for-hire scheme. And yet, in 2020, Wendy made a decision that would change her life forever. She went online, looking for a way to die. This is where things take a shocking turn. Wendy stumbled onto a website called rentahitman.com. Now, that might sound like something out of a bad movie, but it's real. And here's the crazy part. The site was originally created back in 2005 as a joke by a man named Bob Innes. Bob bought the domain as a side project while studying internet security. Over the years, the website started attracting some very unusual traffic. People, real people, were contacting him, believing it was a legitimate place to hire a contract killer. At first, Bob thought it was absurd. But then, he realized the messages weren't just pranks. They were serious requests from people wanting others dead, and sometimes, like in Wendy's case, wanting themselves dead. So instead of ignoring them, Bob began forwarding the information to law enforcement. Over the years, rentahitman.com has actually helped authorities arrest numerous individuals trying to arrange murders. And in July 2020, Wendy became one of them. So what exactly did Wendy do? On July 17, 2020, Wendy Wein filled out the fake service request form on rentahitman.com. She entered her real name, her real address, her real phone number, and in the comment section, she explained what she wanted. She wasn't looking to kill an enemy. She wasn't seeking revenge. Instead, she wanted the hitman to kill her. When Bob Innes received the message, he immediately recognized how serious it was. A woman wasn't just hiring a hitman. She was essentially requesting an assisted suicide through murder. Bob didn't laugh. He didn't delete the email. Instead, he did what he always does. He contacted the authorities. Soon, the Michigan State Police were involved. The police decided to set up a sting. An undercover state trooper contacted Wendy, posing as a hitman she had hired. Wendy responded immediately. She didn't hesitate. She didn't back down. She provided specific details: her home address, a time, and even offered payment. According to investigators, Wendy told the undercover trooper she was serious and wanted this done as soon as possible. She even agreed to meet in person. On July 31st, 2020, Wendy met with a supposed hitman in Monroe, Michigan. At the meeting, she confirmed, face-to-face, that she wanted to go through with it. That's when police arrested her. Imagine the scene. A woman expecting to finalize her own death, suddenly being placed in handcuffs and charged with solicitation of murder. It sounds like the plot of a crime thriller. But for Wendy, it was real life. After her arrest, Wendy faced serious charges. In Michigan, solicitation of murder carries a potential life sentence. Prosecutors argued that regardless of her intentions, whether she wanted herself killed or not, she had engaged in a dangerous and criminal act. Defense attorneys painted a different picture. They argued Wendy was deeply depressed, not in her right state of mind, and that she needed help, not prison. But the facts were hard to ignore. Wendy had provided her information, agreed to payment, and met with the undercover officer. Eventually, Wendy pled guilty to solicitation of murder. In January 2022, she was sentenced to 7 to 20 years in prison. Her case stunned many in the community. Why? Because unlike most murder-for-hire cases, there was no intended victim except Wendy herself. This case raises disturbing and complex questions. On one hand, Wendy clearly committed a crime. She knowingly sought out a hitman and arranged a deal. But on the other hand, wasn't she really just a woman crying out for help? This wasn't the act of a cold-blooded killer. This was the act of someone in despair, someone who wanted to die, but didn't want to do it herself. Today, Wendy is serving her sentence in a Michigan correctional facility. She will be eligible for parole in a few years, but the shadow of this case will follow her forever. Her story is tragic, not because of what she tried to do to others, but because of what she tried to do to herself. So the next time you hear about a murder-for-hire plot gone wrong, remember this story, because sometimes the intended victim is the one who plays the order. So, what do you think? Was Wendy a criminal who deserved her sentence? Or was she a victim of her own despair who needed compassion over punishment? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, because sometimes truth really is stranger than fiction.